Okay. Uh, I think I did a video back, something about the title or their biggest secret is not a secret or something. Well, that wasn't the biggest secret. And maybe this isn't either. The way that this is unfolding, we just have to take it as it comes here. But what I'm going to talk about now is going to be the sacred feminine. It's going to be the connection to this hair. It's going to be the connection to the Enkidu. It's going to be the connection to the synthesis. It's going to be a connection to the wild cow. It's going to be a connection to about 160,000 uh, years ago. And that might not be right, but when I get to the point, I'll do the math in my head. I didn't do it in my head now, but I did think about it earlier. And if that's not correct, when I start talking about to that point, I'll get it right. So before I start, I am not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. We're going to be talking about hairy backs and hairy Vikings and hair in general. And we're going to be talking about some ethnicities that aren't hairy. Okay? And then we're going to be talking about vengeances and vendettas against people and then what they think they're going to get back or need to get or however they mythologically created it, whatever they think for some daggone sacrifice. So, this is really a shocker. It's going to be a shocker. It just reveals the fullness of what irony is here. It really does. About how this special, privileged race, these gods, you know what I mean? When you really find out the connection to this hair and what it means, and then you connect it to Greeks and hairy backs and Vikings and then, hairy Vikings, I mean, it's going to shock you. And it's going to let you know that people have been really thrown for a loop in their secret societies, especially this Aryan stuff. They have really been taken for a ride and have purposely been blinded and then tried to recreate them into something with an origin and descendancy that they really didn't have. That is all a bunch of super fluff. In which, not that I'm trying to hurt nobody's feelings, it's just the way that it is. And do I care? I don't care. I wouldn't care if I was hairy. It wouldn't bother me. The Father loves me. The Father knows my heart. I got potential. But this is the heresy of this genetic pride bullshit. There's no pride in it when you figure it out. It's the exact opposite. And the hair thing is the daggone key. So, what I'll do is I'm just going to read this right here. An Aryan Haryan. I'm just going to read this right here. Gilgamesh in history. We now know for certain that Gilgamesh was considered in antiquity to be a historical character. For a long time, it was not clear whether the earlier parts of the Sumerian king list, in which superhuman lengths of reign were attributed to all rulers, were entirely fictional or mythical. Historical inscriptions of a king of Kish, In-me Berigisi, who belongs to the same era, have now come to light. There are two different traditions concerning the parentage of Gilgamesh. Of course, the epic itself says that one Lugalbanda was his father, a man who is known from the Sumerian king list to have occupied the throne of Uruk, 2 kings before Gilgamesh, and to have been a shepherd. Sumerian epic stories about Lugalbanda are extant. In spite of extensive and thorough excavations at Uruk, no contemporary inscriptions are yet known for Gilgamesh or Lugalbanda. Precise dates cannot be given for the lifetime of Gilgamesh, but they are generally agreed to lie between 2800 and 2500 BC. Yeah, right. Another tradition of parentage for Gilgamesh comes, curiously enough, from the king list itself, which mentions parenthetically that the father of Gilgamesh was a Lilu, a man with demonic qualities, and a high priest of Kulib, which is a part of Uruk. We could, of course, try to reconcile the two traditions by claiming that Lugalbanda must have started life as a Lilu man who became a priest at Kulib before he became king of Uruk. But other discrepancies in the epic which cannot be reconciled show two different traditions at work. Of course, possibly Gilgamesh conquered Uruk as an outsider and then adopted as his father a famous ruler of the Usurp dynasty. Subsequent usurpers in ancient Mesopotamia often acted this way. The mother of Gilgamesh plays a part in the early episodes of the epic. She is Ninsun, the goddess, lady, wild cow. Think about the sacred feminine, from whom he inherited divinity as 2/3 of his nature. Tablets dating not long after Gilgamesh's probable lifetime show that he was regarded as a god in Mesopotamia. All right, 2/3 of this nature, huh? What is it going to be? I tell you, man, just hold on to your socks and your hats and your seats and your butts and whatever else you got, because it is full blown here right now. Okay, I could have talked about this plain and simply just from talking about Gilgamesh and the character Enkidu. Now, Gilgamesh and Enkidu are the same dude. Straight up. Same dude. As I said, that would be, I guess, a fractured synthesis. And of course, you can see the connection with Gilligan's Island, where you got the red and the blue, the skipper fat, and then the Gilligan skinny. And then you put those two together, and you basically got the epic character Gilgamesh, of course, there. The connection between the two things, the red and the blue. The red, hairy one, connected to the supposed blue, which really was not the daggone blue in the way that people are thinking about it. So, first off, let's get an idea of what this Lugalbanda character is, because that represents his father. That's a son of God. A Lugalbanda. A band is a troop which represents the Anunnaki themselves, the band that came down, which later became connected and known with the troop of Osiris Orion, but which was not originally known as such. So, a Lugalbanda is given a tip about further what it means by saying that this other version of Gilgamesh, his father, was a Lilu, which is a man with demonic qualities. What would that be? That'd be a fallen son of God. Demonic qualities. Somebody who was influenced by this demonic rebellion that was connection now to the birth of the sacred feminine ideology, supposed, by taking unto themselves the daughters of men, of all which they thought were fair. Here's the problem. The point in which they took these daughters is interesting for the date, in which I don't think people are telling you that I've figured out. And then secondly, where the hairy thing comes into play. It's going to blow your mind, because it's going to relate to a more primitive state than you guys are possibly imagining. Now, this video I'm going to keep short, because at about the 10-minute mark, the audio goes out. And I'm going to come back, but we're going to make the connection with Nordic Vikings of the North being hairy, and then think about the Greeks, massively hairy. Think about the hairy chests and the hairy backs, and then think about Enkidu as being the hairy one, and then think about Samson, his strength is in his hair. And then I want you to think about this lady, wild cow, in connection to a possible female stock of our primitive estate that was hairy. I'll be back.